Hello beautiful bookworms! My name is Katarina and welcome to my channel. So as you are probably hearing or seeing right now, I am still not really good. My allergies are just on point this summer. Is just great. I usually have allergies like in the winter and spring, but never in summer, so I don't know what the hell is going on. I think it's because of all this climate changing, getting really warm and then getting really like cold and stuff, and I am dying, so I will have to speak really low today. So please bear with me and put your volumes up because you're going to want to hear this. And so today I'm going to be doing a book review, but it's a review of a whole trilogy instead of only the first book. But it's still non-spoiler, so what am I going to do? I'm going to talk about the vibe of each book individually, but not spoiling the story for the sequels of the first book, and then I will be talking about the series as a whole, if I can, and if I'm not dead by the end of this video. So without further ado, I'll be doing a review of the series A Daughter of Smoke and Bone by Laini Taylor, and I just read this this summer. I actually just finished the last one, Dreams of Gods and Monsters, really like a day or two ago. I don't really know when I'm going to upload this, so let's just pretend that it's like 2 days ago or stuff like that. It was really close to the time this video will be uploaded, I believe. And wow, guys, this is so freaking magical. So to start, The Daughter of Smoke and Bone trilogy by Laini Taylor is composed of Daughter of Smoke and Bone, which is the first book. And can we just take a moment to look at this covers? Like, please take a moment, guys. They're just amazing. Then Days of Blood and Starlight, and this is the sequel. And Dreams of Gods and Monsters, and this is the end of the trilogy. So, speaking first about the series as a whole and Laini Taylor as a writer, I was actually very surprised. I shouldn't be, but I was really surprised with the way that she wrote. So I have been hearing ever since Strange the Dreamer came out, not too long ago. I'm very sorry, I'm dying. But I've been hearing that her writing is freaking amazing and that is really magical and not very typical. And I was very curious because I couldn't understand all of the praise because I've never read anything by her. I am still trying to get Strange the Dreamer, but I really can't spend more on books right now, so Strange the Dreamer is a no-no for now. Maybe for Christmas for myself, I don't know, I have no idea. But yeah, and I really want to read it, but I decided to start with her original trilogy, Daughter of Smoke and Bone. And for some reason, when I was reading through the synopsis, I thought, well, this is going to be a very normal YA book, and it's not. So for me, it was very surprising to see the development of the writing through the 3 books and through the story and the development of the characters and everything like that. So having that in mind, obviously, Daughter of Smoke and Bone trilogy is a YA trilogy, okay? And you have a lot of details that you can totally see that it's YA. But it is also one of the greatest fantasy trilogies of YA that I've ever read because it is really good. Writing style is really on point. Laini Taylor is just a magician with words. She's just amazing. The way that she describes stuff, it's really on point. I can imagine pretty much everything that she describes in the book, I am able to imagine. And for example, the first book is set in Prague, and I've never been in Prague, but I could get a vibe of it and imagine it as I were there because her descriptions are just so very clear and she doesn't waste time speaking of something that you can't imagine or that is not there. She's just very on point, and I just love that. Also, throughout the entire trilogy, I just felt like she matured and the story matured along with her. And that is so great to see because when you have the same pacing throughout the whole trilogy, things can get a little bit boring. And in here, it wasn't the case, for real. And also with emotions, Laini Taylor just gets her emotions really high. Like, I just, in the second book, for instance, I was just so nervous with everything that was happening, and I was just feeling like crying all the time, and this was a trilogy that when I went to it, I just went. Okay, I just stand there reading my book, and it didn't matter how many times my parents called to me or I had something to do, I wouldn't do it. I was just reading, and it was so hard to finish a chapter and stop reading the book because I just couldn't. And she does something, Laini Taylor, that is a very incorrect thing. Don't do it. Okay, do it because it's great, but it's very incorrect to the reader, which is doing mini cliffhangers at the end of the chapters. So you're like reading and you're like, okay, so we're going to stay in this base for a while and I will finish this chapter and I will go, I don't know, have dinner or something. And suddenly she just goes like, yeah, that's the last line of the chapter. And I'm like, what? I have to read one more chapter. So yeah, it was just great. It was a great ride. I just loved it. And I think this trilogy is really great. So for the first book, Daughter of Smoke and Bone, this is the book where I think that you notice more that this is YA. This is the only book that I'm going to speak of with detail, not spoiler detail, but with detail because the other ones I can't. So this is basically about Karu. I don't know if you pronounce it like that, but I will just believe that you do and whatever. And Karu is this girl, this blue-haired girl that just lives in Prague and she studies in art school and she has these friends and she has this ex-boyfriend and all of YA troubling stuff that's not really troubling at all, but she has like this deep secret that she lives with monsters and she works for those monsters. They're like her family. She was raised by them since she was a baby and she lives with them. And they live in this shop. There are 4, I believe, and the main monster is Brimstone, and she works for him in a way, and she receives in return wishes, which means that in this world there's magic, and she can use those wishes to wish for different things, like her hair and stuff like that. And what does she do? She collects teeth for them, and that's all that I'm going to say. So he sends her notes like, I need you right now and I need you to go somewhere. And she goes through the shop to all of these places like Paris, Marrakesh, whatever, Morocco, everywhere. Like she goes and she just gets teeth for them and then she goes away and she doesn't know what they do with it. And she doesn't like it a lot because she sees it as a violation, but yada yada, that doesn't matter. And yeah, so she's a girl with a normal life and then with a secret inside of her. And this is how it begins. And it's really like, you look at this and you think, okay, so this is fantasy and this is YA and this will be a very normal fantasy YA book. But it is not. Since the beginning, like when I started this book, I read, without noticing, 150 pages in a row. Because I was just like, it was so interesting. It wasn't like the normal... It's not that I dislike YA, I read a lot of YA, like believe me, I do. I'm reading more adult now, but I read a lot of YA, so I like YA. And I was just, well, okay, this is very normal, but then I started getting a grip of the writing, and the pauses, the punctuation, everything was just as magic. It was so magic, it looks like it came from Laini Taylor, just so out of her soul, and she just threw it there and everything makes sense and you don't question anything because it's like this. But at the same time, you have a lot of questions like, who are these monsters? Why is she working with them? Who is she? Yada yada, why she's in Prague? Why is she in school? Everything, like you don't really know anything, and that's the cool thing about it because you can do a lot of theories. Actually, I buddy read this with Elliot Brooks and Elle from Elliot Brooks. Yeah, that's the channel name, and I will leave link down below if you want to see. And I was actually making a lot of theories for who she was, who were the monsters, and yada yada. And it's really, really nice to be able to do that. So yeah, this is like, it has a lot of typical YA stuff, but it's not very typical in the writing style and in the way that makes you question, and it has a lot of plot twists actually, and I was really glad to read those plot twists, and those cliffhangers in the middle of the chapters was really, really nice. And it actually hurts your soul a little bit, so yeah. So for the second book, Days of Blood and Starlight, which is the sequel, it's passed like right after the first book, and I can say a lot after that because yeah, but this for me was the darkest one of the trilogy. You could feel that it was YA, but it's not that YA. It was a little bit more strong in the sense that explored a lot of fears, explored a lot of distress, it explores a lot of pain in a way, and my feelings were very, very hurt reading this. This book was the one that made me want to cry the most, and it was really strong in a way. I wasn't prepared for such strong things, like themes in this book, in this trilogy, and I actually went to this trilogy without knowing anything, so for me it was really good, and I do recommend that you only know what I told you and you go and read this trilogy. And for the last book is the biggest one, Dreams of Gods and Monsters, and it has, well, I loved it, obviously, I love the whole trilogy, but I believe that the pacing in this is faster, and that makes sense because you have a lot to solve. Yes, you have a lot to solve in the ending book. What a shocker. But yeah, it is true, and you have a lot to solve, and it's crazy. It's a crazy ride, this one. It's really, wow, wow, it was so much anxiety in this. It was just great. I really loved it. And for the 3 books, I have to say that the themes that were discussed, and it was basically hope and war, these are 2 themes that I don't see discussed in YA a lot. And I do believe there are 2 themes that are very important for young people. Well, always for adults also, but for young people too, because nowadays, hope is a very difficult thing to have. You don't have a lot of hope for anything. You gain stuff so easily that you don't even understand how they're coming to you, and you don't hope for almost anything. You make, how do I say this without sound like a jackass? But even me, like, we have some dreams and some wishes that could be a little bit considered, how do I say this? A little bit egocentric, because that's the way our society lives right now, and we are not taught to have this kind of hope. We are taught that we will receive everything in a minute, in a moment, and that we just have to wait a little bit and everything will come our way. We are never taught to hope. And this is the central question of this book, is hope. And this message is so strong and was so well done to me that it made me want to cry, obviously, but it was just really strong, guys. You have no idea. It was very, very strong. And about the war thing, I can't say what war it is about because it might be considered already a spoiler. I don't believe so, but yeah. Basically, it's a theme for nowadays. We have a lot of wars. We have a lot of destruction. We have a lot of people against each other. We don't have support between nations. We don't have that. And I think it's something that should be discussed in young literature because I believe that's the problem. We are not educated in the problems of war and in the problems of the countries. And because of that, we are not able to develop a conscience about this. And everything that happens looks so far away from us that we don't have the empathy needed to look at things and see that they're problematic and try and help. And because of that, we are creating people and world leaders and future politicians and etc. that don't care about who they have to hurt to get what they need or what they want. And I think that this discussion was really very important, and it was made in a language that was a little bit adult, yes, but it was very easy for young people to understand. And that is what we need in YA literature. I really loved it, and I really think that with this writing style and with this way of approaching themes, Laini Taylor is just a genius. And this is just my opinion. So as you may see, I am totally up for you guys to go and read this. This is a great trilogy. I loved it, as you might see. I can't really talk a lot about this because I don't have a very good voice and I am with lack of breathing and I am not feeling very good. But as you might see for this somewhat non-spoiler review, I don't know if it's the best one yet. This is my first trilogy review. So count on that. I will get better in the future, I promise. But basically, I do recommend that you read this even if you're an adult, because I do believe that this can touch you in another way. Her writing is special. Her writing is nothing like we are used to see these days. So if that serves anything, I believe that you should pick this up and read it. Start obviously with the first and then go through the end. And it's very beautiful. So there you go, guys. I hope you guys like this video. I'm very sorry if I'm not being clear enough or pronouncing things correctly, because it's really difficult for me. And I hope that you can hear me, because speaking is hard when you can't read. So I hope you guys like this video. I know there's a lot of people that love these books. If you don't like these books, or if you like these books, but if you don't agree with me, or if you agree with me, tell me so in the comments down below. I hope you guys can comment with me how you feel about these books. I know that Laini Taylor is a new favorite writer for a lot of people. If you've read Strange the Dreamer, tell me something, non-spoiler, down below, like if you liked it, if you didn't, if I should pick it up, because I love this trilogy so much. I already know more or less what Strange the Dreamer is about, but I would love to hear your opinion, and also your opinion, obviously, of this trilogy. So that's it, guys. I hope you guys like this video. If you like it, leave a like or subscribe down below. And once again, I am very sorry for this quality, but I just can't. Okay, so yeah. Bye, guys, and happy readings to you all.